Yo, 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 welcome back. It must be Wednesday. I'm Sunny D.
And I'm Captain J, and
And
we're
we're
the
the pot
pot
smoking
smoking
moms.
moms. Our rhythm's always a little off when we do our remote sessions, but it's fun. I'm excited for today's interview. We're welcoming Sara Holcomb, is a stand-up comedian based in Chicago who uses social media skits as a way to inform on taboo topics and the news. So I'm not gonna lie, Sarah. Like I was a little selfish means like booking you for this interview because I was like, I gotta like hang out with this girl at one point because
Oh
I
my
love
God.
your content. Every time I scroll and you come up, I was like, this is someone I'd love to sesh with us at one point and have some wild conversations.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks. I'm so glad to be on the show. What's crazy is I come up with this when I'm not high. I don't know what would happen if I was high. Yeah.
How long have you been on TikTok?
Um, I mean, I've been making content for like 3 years, but I've been banned 3 times. So
Oh,
this is like my third or fourth page. Yeah.
nice.
You're
Yeah,
And
consistent.
you do stand-up comedy too, right?
I do. Yeah. In
How long
Chicago.
have you? That's awesome. How long have you been doing that?
I started right before the pandemic and then the pandemic happened. So I think it's kind of just been like 2.5 years, but I mean, Chicago's number one in the country for comedy. So like there's thousands of comedians here and it's like a really big city for comedy. So I'm really lucky to
Yeah.
be here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, some of my favorite skits that I see you do, the ones that actually I initially reached out to you were the alien races one that you've been doing. The what was the other one? The CIA declassified documents.
Yeah.
I always thought they were fun, and I like the way you do it with like a conversation between two people about whatever the topic is that you're talking on.
Yeah.
Like, how do you like? What made you come up with doing these skits like that?
I it's a little bit I've found that it's a little bit too much and not as engaging when I'm just talking to the camera about what I found. So it's like to have what other people might be thinking in
Hmm.
response to hearing like information helps because they feel like they're interacting with it in an unconscious way. It gets them involved.
That's cool, and it's like gives it an extra, a more depth. It gives you kind of like it just gives you room to expand on what you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. Um
So one
mhm.
of the topics you do a lot is the conspiracies. Like, which like do you believe most of all these conspiracies, or do you just have fun with it, or like you would believe like half? Because I am definitely prone to being a conspiracy theorist. Like, it doesn't sound too far fetched half the time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's truth to everything. Even when someone says like something that's not true about you, let's say, and it's definitely not true, but there might be an element of that energy there that you're like, maybe I should reflect on that or something. So if something, where there's smoke, there's not always fire, but there's definitely something going on. That's what I think.
For sure.
You're like,
Speaking of fire,
yeah, like,
I'm
picking
gonna
up.
light this up. And actually, one of the most recent conspiracy theories out there is about the California wildfires. Like if they were intentionally set.
Yeah, I think they definitely were. It's coming out more and more that I mean, it's kind of undeniable.
Yeah, like the satellite footage that you shared. Like, where was that found? That information.
I found that on TikTok. So somebody posted the satellite images and then I just like downloaded it. But yeah, then when I went back to look at it, it was like because I saved it,
Hmm.
bookmarked it or whatever. And then when I went back to look at the bookmark, I'm glad that I downloaded it because it
It
is
was
broken.
gone.
Yeah, it's gone. So they must have taken it down or whatever. I'm like, well, they're probably going to take mine down at some point, but it's crazy. Oh, they did actually. They did take it down. Today they took it down. There was a community guidelines violation, but then I appealed it. So
Is
they
that what you get the violations for usually? Is like
they say
for the
misinformation or
right.
they'll say crazy things sometimes, like abuse. I'm like, there's nothing going on. What do you mean? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, we lost an account too. I mean, it's obviously because it's a weed related account,
Yeah,
but
cannabis is highly censored, but
yeah.
like you're just sharing information. You're
Yeah.
just, news stories, things that you've read about. Like it's not anything. I mean, some of it they may don't want people to know,
Hmm.
obviously. And
Yeah.
that's probably why it's being flagged. But why do you think the alien races were being flagged so much when you literally are like entertainment purposes only, like
Yeah.
to not get flagged? Like why do you think those videos, do you think there's a lot of truth? Do you believe in all those races or just like
I think it's true.
I think there's
Um,
aliens, but I never considered that many races being here.
Yeah, well, it's weird. In this book, there's like so many. The person that wrote the book, she was abducted as a kid by like it was a whole story, but basically she channels them and like the people who saved her from actually being like experimented on or whatever. The aliens, there's like aliens saved her from being like experimented on and stuff. There was a whole thing that went down, but they used to be her past life family and they followed her, like they were keeping an eye on her while she's like reincarnated as a human. And so that's where she gets all of her information from. She channels them. And at first I was like, okay, whatever, like she does seem kind of like a basket case sometimes with the way that she speaks. However, if she is very closely like past life alien, of course she's not gonna be very human like.
And normal,
She's gonna have
yeah.
information of being weird. um
Yeah.
but what I found, because like I've been looking at like unexplained phenomena files ever since I could start to read. Like my parents would give me Reader's Digest, like unexplained files and stuff like that, because I didn't want to like read the Babysitter's Club and all that. So all the things that I was putting together, like it, the things that she says about the alien races are really making sense with like spiritual things and like stories that I've heard and documented cases that I've read all my life. And I'm 38. So, I mean, I've been like looking at this stuff my whole life since, like I said, I could read. So, what is that, like 32 years, 30 years? So, it's like what she says has really connected a lot of dots for me. So, I think that there was probably a lot of truth to it.
And these races, they've like come over like decades and decades. Like they've been here for like a very long time, right?
Some of them don't come to Earth. She just talks about some of them don't even leave their own planets.
Oh, okay.
She's talking about like all different kinds. Um, and like there was one race that I actually liked a lot. They don't leave their planet anymore, but they're like kind of elf-ish, and they are known. They actually that's where the lore from like Ireland and like the leprechauns and the fairies and stuff, that's where all of that came from, was those aliens that were there. And then it was just getting like the block got too hot for them. There's other alien races that wanted to like mess with them, so they're like, all right, we're gonna go back to our planet and just stay there. So
I feel like aliens are at this point they're stopping by, looking at what we have to offer, and then they're like deuces.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're crazy over here. They're
Yeah.
destroying their planet. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, but like which do you know which of the ones that have been here supposedly? Which are the ones that are known to have come to Earth or whatever?
There's
Or
a lot
most
of different
common?
kinds. The one that got taken down
Area
recently.
51? Oh, recently.
Yeah, the one that got taken down recently that I was like, why did they take this down? It was talking about the ones that mine the moon. And then they have like a trading system with Earth, like the leaders of the Earth, and they literally human traffic the humans. That they have a deal to where they will traffic humans. So the humans are mining the moon, but it's
What?
yeah, but they have to like be in they're doing it in suits and stuff. Like it's a whole thing. And but they're doing it on the other side of the moon. There's like an inside of the moon too. Um, and I looked it
Which
up,
is
like,
wild.
yeah, what was it? Like 800,000 people a year go missing on Earth. So that's crazy.
It's like that season of American Horror Story. You know how they say what they show us on TV always has a little bit of truth to it, where
Hmm.
the Americans have the deal with the aliens. There's this one season where it's like aliens, and they
Hmm.
have a deal with the aliens to like let them abduct humans because
Hmm.
they're trying to like create a hybrid race of the
Yeah,
alien humans.
yeah. The what she was saying, like, one of the biggest chapters in that was about the Anunnaki and how they created hybrids of themselves with the beings that were here that were not human. Like that's how they made Homo sapiens sapiens, was through Anunnaki
Mm-hmm.
mixing our DNA or whatever. But the Anunnaki, before they left, because they're not here anymore, from what she's saying. But before they left, they created like a few uh, clans, I guess, of people that would be in charge, and so they wanted them to keep within their bloodline. And it's kind of crazy, so that they would be like the ones that hold the most power on Earth, and they would be in direct communication with them, and dictating with them on what to do. So I mean, Rockefeller is, like all of these elite groups that you trace them back, and it's like, wow, they've been pretty powerful since the 1400s. Oh, that's weird. You can trace them to ancient Egypt. Oh, that's weird. You can trace them to before that. You know what I mean? And they've always
Mm-hmm.
been in power. So like you put these two things together, and it's like, that's weird. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So when like I feel like the declassified docs, that's a hard read. Like how do you actually get the docs and you like go through it and then you come up with your content?
Yeah.
I've tried reading some of those documents and they're not easy to read. Like how long does it take you to come up?
Yeah. Well, what I do is I like also, when I find something interesting, I'll look on Reddit and see if there's anything on that topic and see what they're saying. And then see if there's any videos similar to it
Hmm.
anywhere, like on TikTok, YouTube, or whatever. And then I kind of come to a conclusion. And if I can find like the actual lines of what it's saying in the CIA document, then I'll put it on the screen. Um, but yeah, I kind of just, I'm autistic, so like I'm very high functioning, obviously, but like when I see information, I'm just like "Rah, rah, 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 rah," and then I like connect the dots and then put it in a
Yeah.
really fast.
Yeah, I was gonna like how do you work out the conversations, like the opposing like the back and forth? That takes a lot of thought and like putting all the pieces together. I was like, that's very clever.
Well, thanks. I'm glad it worked out, I guess. People like the CIA agent as a teddy bear, so
Yes, I love that.
I've kept that. Yeah, with the
It's
hair.
like because like oh are they a little crazy they with their little teddy bear thing or can you believe what this person's saying? I
Yeah,
think it's cute with the teddy bear.
yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
so you said that you're previously a news reporter. Like what kind of news reporting did you do?
Um, well, local news, and in Washington D.C. Also, I did traffic news, and then I worked several different radio stations as well, just like as a producer. But yeah, I decided not to stay with that.
Well, I mean, I mean, you're kind of staying along the lines of the same type of stuff, you
Yeah.
know. You evolve and you use that for what it was. How long did you do that for?
Only 2 years after college,
Yeah.
I realized like I went to school for it. Like that's actually what I wanted to do my whole life. I was even like cleaning out my storage unit the other day with my boyfriend, and we found like all of these diary entries and all of these things that I had written when I was like 9 and 10 years old, because I dated it. I was like 9 and 10 years old, and I was talking about Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, like I was talking about politics in this, and I had totally forgotten about it. I like drew them, and I drew like conversations I had seen them have on the news, and I've just always been wanting to do that, but I found out that the news is so controlled. There's just no way that you can get the real information out there, and it was very disheartening after I realized that when I was finally in it in DC.
Yeah, because they control everything you're gonna report and say. So like how much, like the reporters that we see on TV, how much do they actually get to write themselves and say what's going to be said? Like if they do, it's probably like changed a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very changed. Like I had so many stories I wanted to talk about and they would just be like, no. And I'm like, people would definitely want to know this. They're like, no. I'm like, okay. So
And that's why all the news media outlets like kind of have the same thing and it's really controlled. Like I feel like a lot of people are turning more to TikTok and other means of getting the news because we don't trust our large media outlets anymore.
yeah. I mean, they're all owned by uh if you keep looking like down and down and down to the root of who they're owned by, it's like BlackRock, it's different banks, billionaires. Shockingly enough, where I worked, WTOP, it was the number one grossing talk radio news station in the country at the time in DC, and it was located in DC. At the time I worked there, it was owned by Bonneville International, and that is owned by the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints.
Oh.
Shit.
So they controlled everything that we said, and there was even certain words we couldn't say that seemed like non-inflammatory, but we couldn't say certain words.
Huh.
It was weird.
I know, and that's
Well,
why,
you know
and
what?
then that's why they try to take TikTok away from us because we're getting
And,
informed.
and
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say too, though. But like, they're controlled by they're also being controlled now too, obviously, because now
TikTok's not the same since it came
Tik.
back,
I mean,
and it's
I
changed a
deleted
lot
mine,
in the last few
but the
years.
vibes are different, y'all. Are the vibes
Mhm.
different?
Vibes are completely different. Like my algorithm's kind of almost back to what it was,
Mhm.
but
But
I don't know. Like
what is different about it?
It's like we're not getting as aggressive information. Like I can tell that
They're
censoring a
putting
lot.
in more puff pieces. They're putting
yeah,
in a little more.
and it's probably like the people that were kind of aggressive before are being shadow banned. At least that's what I'm seeing. People talk.
Hmm.
I like have to search them, and then they talk about, oh, I think I'm being shadow banned. Like every single one of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, your
Yeah.
content's also probably being as well.
yeah.
And did you ever get you mentioned that you lost your content creator like fund. Did it ever fix?
Yes, and then I lost it again, and then I appealed it again, and then they gave it back to me. So I think they're just playing games.
I
games
feel
with
like it's
people.
such it messes with your emotions though, my gosh. And then the fact that there's not a real person behind there when you try to talk to people, it's just so
Hmm.
frustrating.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
we lost our live access on Instagram for like we can't ever get it back. Like it's gone forever. Like
Yeah,
we've
like
been
it was supposed
appealing
to be
it.
for a certain amount of time, and then when it was supposed to be up, the ban was supposed to be up, it just never gave it back
Never
to
came
us.
back, and we've been appealing it and reporting it and reporting it, and we're into good standing. We're fine, and it won't come back.
I mean, but it's like, look at how huge these social media platforms are. Do you really think they have enough manpower to staff it and have them like actually like give people? Because, okay, look, I wouldn't mind spending advertising dollars if there was a whole team of people there that were like actively helping you out, or
yeah,
even like filtering the stuff that's getting banned, because sometimes you see some stuff out there and you're like, how is this still floating around, but
yeah.
something else is totally shut down immediately.
Hmm.
Because they're trying to control the narrative. They're controlling what we're going to see. So like I'm very cautious now of Meta, any Meta like
Yeah,
apps, and even TikTok now. Like there's the theory that TikTok is now Meta. Like there's something going on there behind the scenes.
Yeah, because why are we giving the new president so much
That shit with
accolades,
the
so much
freaking
accolades?
I don't.
That's why I deleted that shit. When I saw that message come up, okay, when I opened it and they're like, "Oh, we gotta talk, but we're talking to our guy. Our guy's
yeah,
gonna do it." I was like, "Fuck this! I'm
yeah.
deleting this
Yeah, she
shit."
deleted it immediately.
And
Like the
I'm
first
so
time when we first lost
impulsive.
it, she just deleted it.
I was so
And I was like
exhausted, but
10
at the
hours
same
later, that
time, I
shit was
was
back. I was like,
so
what the fuck? And then
yeah,
the thank
and
you Trump bullshit. And I'm like,
it
what is
was all a
happening? Like, who
show.
falls for this bullshit?
It was all a freaking show. What a
Yeah,
nightmare.
that was crazy. There were so many different greetings too mentioning Trump. Like every time I signed back in, it was like we're thanking President Trump so much and for speaking with us, and it was worded different each time. I'm like, dang, he really wanted them to put his name in this.
Hello, he wanted to sign the checks. He wanted to put his name on the checks. You remember that
The stimulus,
fiasco?
when the stimulus checks went out, it had
Yeah,
to have his name on
dude,
it.
get off of it. Like,
Yeah.
God.
Such a
Well, I
nurse.
mean, hey, get your popcorn ready for the next 4 years,
For
y'all.
real. But
'Cause
I gotta
it's
say, like, your content's, not just the fun conspiracy stuff. You do really important topics too, like current events, like things that are happening right now that people need to be paying attention to.
Mhm.
And you're presenting it in a way that is entertaining to consume, but also very informative.
I mean, I try. Thank you. I'm glad that you see it that way. It's yeah. I think it's really important. Like people are busy, they
Mhm.
can't pay attention to all this stuff. And so
Exactly.
like to put it that way makes it I feel like I like to connect to everybody and I think everyone needs to know what the hell is going on because it's really not fair. Everything that we're going through right now.
Really isn't.
yeah, but comedy will get us through, right?
Yeah, that is one thing that's recession proof, I can say, is comedy.
Actually, let's go
Do
back
you
to the comedy a little bit.
do you do a lot of stand up? Like, do you
Yeah.
go out a lot?
Yeah. So I probably am out like half the nights, 3, 4, 4, 5 actually nights of the week. I'm
Oh,
out
nice.
doing comedy, either like on a show or I'm just doing mics. Like even on a random Tuesday night, there's like 12 different mics going on all around the city.
Damn. On a
So
one night, any given night there. Wow, that's great.
That's
yeah,
a great comedy scene.
Do
Wow.
you frequent certain spots?
yeah. Most of the time because the people that I know that are running mics, especially like really good ones, I will be able to like say text them and say, "Hey, is there a reserve spot for me tonight?" Because like if you're actually going to a mic, which it's very competitive to even get up on stage, but like if you're actually going to a mic, you have to show up like an hour before it starts and sign and like wait in line. And then when the sign up starts, you sign in the order that you got there, and they're very serious on that. And then you wait until your turn. Sometimes it can be like, the list is 40 people deep and everybody gets like 5 minutes, 4 minutes. And there's always a host that goes up in between everyone set. So it takes forever. So
Yeah,
it's lucky that at this point I can just like text people and be like, do you have a spot for me? So
for sure. Yeah, no doubt. That's
yeah.
cool. Do you have like what are your favorite big comics out there? Who are you into?
Um, as far as big comics, actually, I feel like most of them sell out so much. Like they're just a lot of them are sellouts. I don't want to like say any names, but I really when I look at Netflix, for example, and I'm like I like Bill Burr. He's cool. I like him. But like when I look at Netflix of the comedians that are on there, I'm like, oh my God. I was even saying this the other day to like a bunch of comedians that I know. I'm like, these people would not even these people would be maybe average at an open mic. Like, how are they getting Netflix specials? And it actually makes women look pretty bad on Netflix because the women that have Netflix specials, from what I saw, most of them are just, what is this? And that's probably why people don't think women are funny because they see that, you know?
Yeah, but women get a bad rap. I mean, whatever. We got to deal with the patriarchy. Of course, we're gonna be having to fight
Yeah.
They got bad rap
our
because they
way.
know
We're
they're
ha-
always trying to put women down in everything, whether it's
Yeah.
comedy. Yeah, it's just the way life
I
is.
know.
Yeah.
I'm pitching us against each other. Is there anybody in the scene that you like to watch
Yeah.
that goes out there with you?
Yeah, I like Joffrey Asmus. He tours nationwide, but he's just this nerdy looking white guy, but like he's so smart. He knows so much about like the government and history, and like he's just so smart. So he can just, when he's doing crowd work, he can like relate it back to something that happened 600 years ago and like be very specific for the certain war and just make it funny. And I don't know, it's he's just so hilarious. I see him sometimes because now he lives in New York, but sometimes he comes to Chicago and he has shows, and I'll see him at, like I saw him at the Laugh Factory holiday party a couple years ago, and even though we're like colleagues that are at this holiday party together, like he's one of those people I don't consider a colleague. I consider me a fan. And so I was just like, hey. He's
Yeah,
so,
man. And you
yeah,
get to see a lot of people too, I'm sure, stroll by that are like already in huge in the comedy industry too.
yeah. And I get to see how they behave as well. What I like behind the scenes at least,
Right.
what I do like about the comedy, like comedians though, is that they are pretty grounded and like down to earth. You have to be. You have to be very self-aware to be a comedian. So that's one thing I like about comedians in general, even if they are, famous.
Yeah, I like Bill Burr too. Except
Mhm.
he does have some women be shopping jokes that I'm like, come
I know.
on.
I know. He's misogynistic for sure, but
All right, right.
I like the fact that he just kind of like says what he thinks, like, and doesn't care.
Yeah, he let some people have it, and it's glorious. So
Mhm.
when he let Bill Maher have it, oh, I sometimes I watch that clip just to motivate myself because it's like, man, he just handed it to him, and it was just glorious. Some people need that. Some people
Yeah,
need
Oh,
for you to hand it to them.
Bill
yeah,
Maher definitely needed that.
definitely. I like Usama Siddiqui too. He's in New York as well, but sometimes he comes to Chicago and just does regular bar shows, and I'm like, what? Like, it's like crazy. But he's cool. He's so funny. I went to his a zany show that he had here, and I was like laughing so hard in the back, and I guess I was cackling, and he was like, "Whoever's laughing like that definitely owns a cauldron." I was like, "It's me." So, I love that guy.
Do you want a cauldron?
I used to. I did have a witch phase, like 12, 15 years ago.
Sure. Hey, man.
I love witchy stuff.
Do we ever break out of the witch phase? You
No,
Yeah.
know, sometimes it creeps back up.
yeah, I think
I
all women
was
are born witches for sure.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say to your alien thing, I think I'm a big believer that Men in Black is like based on actual truth, the movie
Hmm.
Men in Black, because I've met some people who have been like, wow, that you've got to be an alien underneath there, because there's no way.
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
our leaders, yeah.
There, she actually says in the book, she talks about the Men in Black, and they're actually not real. They're not organic. They're synthetic creatures.
The actual agents, the agents that are Men in Black,
That's what
like
she says.
Will Smith and what's Tommy
Oh,
Lee
like
Jones?
they're what? Like they're like AI?
I guess like the way she's explaining it, and
They're
it's
like androids.
yeah, like she says it. But then I was looking back at the Reader's Digest book that
Oh,
I
yeah,
had
from the Matrix.
from when I was like 10 that my parents got me, and it was talking about the Men in Black, and this was probably made in like 1990, 1980 something, and like they were talking about the Men in Black, and all these people had all these documented stories that had police reports and stuff of people coming up knocking on their door, but everybody had like the same experience and description of them where they didn't have like eyebrows, or their skin looked kind of like silicone or something.
Yeah,
And
like
Wow.
a geek or
from what
something.
she's saying, they are silicone, like they are fake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
mean, it
God,
would
I
make
want
sense because how else do you trust, like, for the information to stay quiet
Yeah.
unless it's programmed to be quiet?
well, the
Mhm.
movie would have you believe that they have an elite staff of
They have the
human
clicky thing.
beings
They just
that
told
were
you.
seeked out. They seeked out those specific individuals and to put them through a bunch of tests.
Yeah. I don't think humans are like, if we think like humans are not
Smart enough.
Yeah, smart enough or able to be like that non-human. It's definitely non-human. Like
Yeah.
you can't have a human be non-human. What I found was the only human-y people that are even remotely close to that, I feel like, are in the CIA, but the CIA directly recruits from Mormons. Like about 75% of the CIA are Mormon, and it's because they're raised in that cult.
I mean, aren't they infiltrating our government? Like,
Yeah,
they're like building their little army and like infiltrating the government.
The
yeah,
Mormons?
yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
Core
God.
Christianity.
Oh my God, don't get me started. I looked into this. I had a whole series on it actually on my last TikTok before it was banned, but my goodness, the Mormons are literally like running this country. It's crazy.
Yeah, out of Utah.
Well, no, they
They
own the
have people in all the.
yeah. They are the ones that own the most land in the US. So they own like I think it was like 40 or like a huge percent of Florida. They actually own the land. And
Florida?
yeah, Florida, like in every single state, they own land. And
I mean, there's a lot of land over here.
yeah. But also, I mean, if you just like Brigham Young, the guy that started it, he was just a basically mob boss, and he tried to attack the U.S. soldiers. Like he would send his soldiers out to attack the U.S. soldiers as if they were going to war in the West, because he was trying to get all of Utah and Colorado. Like he was trying to get
They're
that land.
trying to take over.
Yeah. So I mean, Brigham Young University is
It's
like,
still there in
yeah,
Utah.
it's huge.
Isn't there like a show about him now on Netflix? It's
Yeah,
like
there is
about that, about him being like
about
out
him
there
being
doing
like
all that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I saw somebody talking about it on TikTok, I think.
I think it was I talked about it, but like I
That was a
It's her.
when I'm like sometimes I know a little bit more than what I like reveal in the videos. So I kind of pose the question to people. I'm like, that's weird. I kind of, do you guys know anything about that? You know, but I like say things, so I'm not telling people directly
Yeah.
what he did. So then I get a bunch of comments of people like filling in the blanks for everyone else. So that also gets around the community guidelines.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how we gotta like come up with little sneaky ways of getting around robots, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's
crazy.
nuts.
Sorry that happened to you guys though. That's terrible.
You know what though?
Yeah, but you 3 times, you're persistent to keep
Yeah,
it
for
up and
real.
like,
And you got a lot of followers, girl.
yeah.
They find
Because
me again on purpose.
you're
Yeah.
good, yeah, you're good content. I
Are
seek you
you
out.
trying are you switching up your strategy for like YouTube, and since whatever TikTok's kind of in this weird, in the weird in between, what is it called? What's the waiting room? In that
Purgatory.
weird
Purgatory.
purgatory.
Yeah.
It's in that weird purgatory phase.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
I
Are you
started
trying?
I started to switch up my content on YouTube for sure. I made it a little bit more TikTok-y on YouTube to keep people's attention, and I started to make way longer videos. Also, what's funny is like when TikTok went down, which was only like a week ago, I started to post on Instagram Reels, and I gained like, what was it, 30,000 followers this week.
Wow, that's good
Yeah,
for you.
Wow.
on Instagram, and that's just from posting stuff from TikTok on
Because
there.
yeah, because it's all
Yeah, for
content
sure.
you've created
If TikTok likes it,
that,
then it'll would be good in the other
sometimes
platform.
Instagram Reels, they get the stuff on TikTok like, a few months later.
Yeah, usually the case. But there's definitely a different type of audience on Reels than on TikTok.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. We started TikTok back right before COVID, and during COVID, I feel like it was like hot. Like people were seeking out connection and
Mm-hmm.
content, and then after that, after things started going back to normal, it started getting a little bit weird. And then it went to TikTok Shop, and then that was just like taking over.
Yeah. That's when TikTok Shop happened right as the United States started hosting the cloud that hosts TikTok. Because
Oh,
even though,
after the first ban, first
The
yeah,
attempted
attempted
ban.
bad.
yeah, after they were having these, the court case with Shu, um, the CEO of TikTok, like around that time, they started hosting TikTok from the States in Austin, Texas, in a company called Oracle, and the owner of it is the second richest man in the world, and he funds BlackRock. So it's like all now it's all controlled by that, but they still want to say that China has our data, whatever, because there's this final element of TikTok that they don't really have control over yet, even though we're from the United States hosting TikTok in our cloud from Austin, Texas, and Oracle. Like there's still this final like control that they're trying to get from China, and they're trying to like bully them into it. So this is going to be like an ongoing thing.
For sure. And that's one of the reasons I lost my shit and fucking deleted it, because I was like, I am sick and tired of listening to all of this nonsense back and forth. Oh, we're going to get it. We're going to get a ban. Oh, they're talking about it. Oh,
Honestly,
they're not. Like, oh my
I
God.
don't
if
blame you. I
if
don't blame
China
you.
didn't have my data before, they definitely have it now when I joined Red Note.
Yeah.
So like that was like our ultimate fuck you to the government. It was like, you know what? Fine, you want to take TikTok away? We're gonna go straight to the most Chinese
Yeah.
social
And
media app that we can find.
that's
And
awesome
and
though.
I found the most beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing that happened. Like to see these two cultures like interact and like having
Mhm.
like I still go over there and scroll. I still go in there and enjoy content because sometimes I get a little bummed out on TikTok and I
Mhm.
need to get away from all the horrible things that are currently happening.
Yeah.
And just like and see some food, Chinese food and like culture of over there, or
Yeah.
like other Europeans posting about like their culture, because I feel like that's what's happening over there mostly is people kind of sharing, what their lives are in their country.
Mhm. It was good for us to see that because there's been so much propaganda against China, and their country has had propaganda against us as well. So it's good to
100.
let them see how we are as well.
People
So
were
are they
literally in
like,
the comments talking about that. Like, what was the propaganda you heard about us? What's the propaganda? Like back and
Mhm.
forth. It was
so are they like, hey, sure, we're communists, but at least our government takes care of us, right? Are they like
Yeah,
saying that to us?
yeah, pretty much. And they've been saying things like they can't believe that we live the way that we live. They're like, you guys have two jobs just to eat and put a roof over your head? What do you mean?
and
Like,
how much we pay in healthcare is just insane.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, of course, there are different parts of China that are really terrible, but
Of
there's
course.
over 1 billion people there. Obviously, there's going to be something terrible. We're not even remotely close to the amount of people in China, but
Oh,
Yeah.
what happened to your
I,
camera, D?
I know. I don't know what the heck is happening. I'm totally out of focus.
Medicare plan. There, that
I
fixed
don't
it.
know.
That fixed it.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Good job.
Look at that.
saved by
Such a
Medicare.
techie. And it's like every time technology, anything goes bad, you sure bet it's gonna
It's Murphy's Law.
happen.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah.
So, what do you have going on right now? Like, what, like, you
Any
do
shows?
shows? Do you have any shows coming up that you might want to announce or anything
Yeah,
you want to share?
I have a show at Zany's in let's see, on the 3rd of February. I'm just like telling you club shows because that's what people like the most. Zany's Chicago, on the 3rd at 7 p.m. I also have a show that I produce called Friday Night Fever that is on the third Friday of every month. And I just got a notification that we sold 9 tickets already for the February 21st show. It usually sells out really fast. And that's at the Lincoln Lodge in Chicago, which is like Chicago's oldest independent comedy theater. And I'm the only producer, so I'm like pretty proud
That's
of that show.
That's amazing.
That's awesome, and that's always fun because you get to control the talent, and you get all the people you like to tell the
Mhm.
jokes. You
Yeah,
know,
it's not like a lot of people book their friends for shows or like to get on other shows. Like it's like this trade off thing that, and I understand, like I get that, but I think it's more important for the audience to be impressed. And
Mhm.
so I usually use people that everybody's got a very different way of doing comedy. And I don't even try to make it diverse, but it is always diverse because that's what I focus on is their style, you know.
Yeah.
And I go to different club shows and just scope out who's there, and I go up afterwards and say like, hey, can you be on my show or whatever. That's how I book people
for
usually.
sure. You scope out the good people. You're not gonna
Mhm.
be friends with the bad comics.
Yeah.
You gotta be friends with
Right.
the good ones. You go like,
Yeah.
hey, I seen you. You great. Let's be friends. That way, some of your awesomeness could rub off on me too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also really sad too because a lot of comedians are very, very good, but they fall into the alcohol, drugs and
Oh
alcohol.
yeah.
There's just or they'll already all be partying until 6 a.m. and that's just the lifestyle that
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
is, especially with Chicago being like such a huge drinking city. Like we were
Yeah.
the number one city for prohibition in the 20s. So like that energy has not left. Like there's bars everywhere you look. And so it's just normal. Like if you have like a couple drinks a day every single day, you're not an alcoholic here. You're just a
Yeah.
regular person.
That's
Second
just like
City.
the
I mean, you
norm.
said there's 12 mics a night. I mean, if there's, you got nightlife down there for
And
sure.
there's
You got
always what usually at comedy shows. It always includes you got to get a drink, right, with your
Right.
right,
ticket.
right. And
Yeah.
then usually comics get drink tickets. They get paid in drink tickets because,
Mhm.
So no wonder they go to drinking.
Mhm.
right. And
Yeah.
you know what though too? A lot of times if they start getting booked a lot, it goes to their head and they start like I've seen a lot of people, a lot of comics. I used to do stand up a long time ago here, but
Okay.
I've seen a lot of comics who would get really good, and you'd
Mhm.
see them, and then you'd see how they would start acting like that, and it would get the best of them, and it would be sad because you're just like, wow, you had a good thing going, like
Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing about like the comedy community, like I said, is they're pretty self-aware. So when people start acting like that, it's like an immediate like, okay, we don't really want them around anymore.
right, because it's like unprofessional, especially when you're trying to like work on stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so hard. And going out, you go out a lot to do comedy. That's awesome. Good for you.
Thanks.
I mean, and it's such a good it's a robust town for that too. Do
Yeah.
you watch any improv
Yeah,
shows?
like
Any
the Miami scene isn't very
the
big.
Miami scene, man, listen, every time I would talk to other comic and be like, "Hey, you got any tips for me?" They'd be like, "Get the fuck out of Florida." And I'd be like, "Well, I guess I'm never
I've been
gonna get
saying
out of
that. I've been
Florida."
trying to get
Yeah,
out of here for a while.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's just too cold and all the other places I
I
would want to
know.
go.
Yeah, it is. It's way too cold up here. But I do like not having bugs at all.
Oh.
That's a
Oh, true.
plus for me.
Iguanas
You
too.
guys don't
I
have
mean,
roaches and like ants?
oh,
Like
No.
that's true.
it's like a
Not right now.
lizard.
Definitely not right now.
No, no, not when it's this cold.
Yeah, not when it's this cold.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't even know you were
it's
here, Jack.
stinking humid here, so you know for sure. I mean, it's a swamp town over here in Florida.
Mhm.
There's gonna be cockroaches.
There's flying cockroaches here.
Yeah. I used to live in Florida, in Tampa and in Pensacola.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Oh,
Yes.
if it snowed in Pensacola, that's where it snowed.
Oh my God, that's
And it was
crazy.
not like, oh look, it's snowing, and it's like a little
just a
flurry. It
little,
was
and it melts. No,
It
it was
was
like
white. It was covered. Everything was covered in snow.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Florida didn't know what to do with itself.
Well, yeah. Plus, they don't have the infrastructure to handle that on the roads and stuff. They probably would be
Exactly.
very dangerous,
For
probably.
real. We can't even drive in the rain. Are you kidding me? Give us
Yeah.
snow? Oh my God, forget it. We're
Yeah.
I
staying
think that's
home.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. No, people can drive in the snow really well here, but not the rain.
Oh, see?
Yeah, I think it's just like having that like I don't know, a lot of wet. If the snow kind of falls off, it doesn't like
True.
like
Right.
waterfall your,
Yeah, yeah.
Flood, flood.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I meant.
Our cars have to double up as boats around here.
I
Yeah,
get scared for you guys that because there's always a hurricane every single year that's like it's gonna wipe Florida off the map. I'm like, holy shit! Like every
we've been
year.
really lucky because we're on the East Coast, and lately they've all been coming in on the West Coast.
Mm,
Lately, recently we almost had one come in on the east, but it's just they seem to be coming in a lot on the Gulf of Mexico,
mm.
and so we've been really lucky so far. We've just gotten like the what they call the outer bands, the outside.
The outer
The storm.
bands.
Yeah.
That's right. It sounds like a TV show, like on the CW.
Yeah.
The
What
outer
do,
bands.
what do you guys think about? Well, I don't even really have to ask. Well, what do you guys think about Trump naming it the Gulf of America?
It's fucking ridiculous.
I can't believe
It's
that
the
was
most
the first thing.
ridiculous thing I've heard. I'm sorry. Like, why? Yeah.
I mean, really, the guy from the guy that brought us is signing the check. I mean, obviously, he's
Yeah.
gonna want to do shit like that.
Like, what is the point? Why are we wasting even any idea or a thought on that? What is that? What is the point of that? What is important? Or buying
It's
Greenland? What is
it's
this
his
thing about
stand.
buying?
Yeah, it's his stand. Oh, the Greenland thing is deeper though. I think there's more to the Greenland because of the oil.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
there's a
there's
No,
lot.
more to it, but
they were
Yeah.
still, like, what is
they were saying like we're gonna like it's to protect us from Russia, but he and Putin are
they're
BFFs.
best?
Like,
They're besties.
yeah, like no, it's just for
To be
control.
closer to him.
Yeah.
No, this is a giant circle jerk. This is a billionaire circle jerk. This is what it is.
Mhm.
This is and that's it. That's what they want to do. They want to control everything, own everything, make all the money, and then jerk each other off.
Mhm.
Look, oh, look at our land. Look what we did. Look at how amazing we are. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at fucking what is his name? The Elon guy? Oh my god.
I can't even believe they let him talk at the inauguration. He's South African. He's not even American. What are they doing?
Isn't that crazy? And then they're sending ice to everybody's house. What about JD Vance's wife? What about Melania? Who's the first anchor baby there?
Yeah.
Baron Trump. Hello, Baron Trump.
Yeah. And
It's just like, but it's again
But
showing
they're not
everybody
brown and poor.
that yeah, exactly. They're showing everybody it's not about minority or not. It's about privilege and money, and we're the billionaire. So I can have an immigrant wife, but
mhm.
not you.
Yeah, they're not going to stop any Europeans. You
No.
know, they're going to stop if you look Hispanic. They're going to stop you. This is an asylum city. Chicago's an asylum city, and this was like the first place that they started the ICE raids. Was like
Mhm.
literally the next day after he said it. It was all over the news. Like people were just getting their doors. They were coming into if because the buildings are really old here. They're like over 100 years old. So sometimes like the doors don't close, and to the building, but you go up to your apartments and they're locked, right? But so ICE was just getting in by just an open doors and banging on people's apartments.
We have a friend that lives out in Chicago that actually witnessed, saw ICE coming out of by an elementary school with men in zip ties and putting them in the vans and stuff. And she
That's
said it was
terrible.
absolutely devastating to witness. And and it's happening all over the place.
Yeah, it's traumatic, man. And I think that they're just cowards and because okay, fine. You want to go after people who have, you know, been are breaking the law, right? He's saying they're breaking the law. Why don't you go for the people that are in charge of organized crime? Like there's a lot of people in charge of organized crime. They're not even going for them. They're going for
Hmm.
regular people who have been here for 30 years and have families. Like why would you do that? You're a coward. You're just a coward. They're not hurting anybody.
Yeah. But we just gotta have conversations and make sure people know that it's happening. So
Mhm. Oh no.
What was that?
It got so dark.
It
It got
got real
so
dark.
dark.
It's like
None of us know what to say anymore.
Yeah, because we're like, well, I mean, I feel like a lot of us don't know what to do
we're in
anymore. It's
dark
just, we
time.
just gotta sit here and just
Mhm.
hold our breath until it's over. I mean, obviously, this is what I was telling the ladies, because, we have our patrons, we meet with them regularly, we have sessions and stuff with regularly. And a lot of them were like panicking when all of this stuff started changing over.
Mhm.
And honestly, it's really all about community, right? It's like, who are the closest people to you? Who are the ones that are like fighting for you? Who are the ones that are batting for you? Like, support each other and do that for now, because
Mhm.
the government is not here to help anybody but themselves right now. And so we have to help each other, because they're not gonna do anything for us. So I mean, that's a positive way of me looking at it. Is like, we got to at least keep doing the things we love and pouring time and energy into the people we love who love us back, because nothing else out there is gonna give us that right now.
I feel like the
Yeah.
positive people turn to community, and then like the negative people just are relishing in it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a
like
lot of hate online, especially on Instagram. People are really have a lot of hatred on Instagram for some reason.
yeah, we need a little more love, a little more compassion,
Mhm.
empathy, and understanding that these are people.
Mhm.
Not they're not illegals. They're
Mhm.
people, you know.
Yeah,
But
well, when all them Cubans in Hialeah that voted for Trump start getting
all the
scooped up by
Cubans are the
ICE.
worst. We're Cuban.
Okay. I'm like, I I'm not
We
being
were knowing that. No,
yeah.
we're the like
She's
I live in
like,
Hialeah, the most Cuban little town in Miami, and I'm surrounded by Trump flags, and
yeah.
they highly support him here.
You should
And
call ICE to their houses
Oh,
specifically. I feel like we need to clog up
on the tip
their
line,
resources. Honestly, seriously, that's what you gotta do. You gotta clog up their resources. I'm like, why hasn't anybody developed an AI to report ICE stuff? Like, you know what I'm saying?
like
Like,
fake.
get it on an auto dial. Remember when we used to get robots to
But where would
get
you
people to
report
auto
them
call?
to? That's the thing, because you don't want to accidentally report them to people, anybody to have to deal with that. You know what I mean?
No,
mhm.
just the people with the Trump flags outside their house.
You just write down all their addresses. You're like, you just drive
It's
by.
like
Yeah.
my whole
Uh-huh.
neighborhood.
You drive by like this.
Okay.
You drive by like this. Huh? Like, get your phone.
You know, who I've also found is shockingly in support of Trump is the Arab community.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I pretty much all my friends, most of my friends are Arab, and so I'm just like
Their
shocked.
families, like their
Their
parents and stuff.
their families, and even like when I go visit my best friend like in Egypt, she grew up in Kuwait or whatever, but everyone she knows in Kuwait loves Trump. Everybody that is in Egypt, they're like, yeah, Trump's a great, I mean, he's doing great for them, like he changed everything. And like I'm like, what what you guys like Trump?
You
Like
know
it's
what?
crazy.
Hey, at least they
Trump
know that
hates them.
he changed everything,
No,
because
yeah,
because apparently the Democrats can't seem to change shit.
true.
This is
Okay?
the Democrat.
Yeah,
What's that?
I'm not on either. I hate both equally.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
It's an
same.
illusion
They're
of
the two
choice.
sides of the same coin.
Same, they
Yeah.
work for the same people.
Mhm.
Exactly. Whoever pays.
Yeah. George Carlin had it right. That guy knew what he was talking about back then.
Yeah, George Carlin.
It still stands
That's
true.
another reason
Everything he
why I still
says.
have hope, is because I'm like, well, if this motherfucker was talking about it back then,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
been
Then maybe
around.
this, because it does feel like end times. It's like maybe it's not end times.
No,
but
it's
it's
end of these times.
yeah, it is. It's feeling very much like that. It's like how can it get much worse than
I
what
don't know.
Like
we're
people were like grasping to like straws of hope, like that he wasn't gonna get inaugurated. They're like, there's something happening behind the scenes. It's not gonna happen. I'm like, y'all, it's happened.
Well,
Okay.
even like biblical revelations and in the
You
Torah
see
and
it.
in the Quran, like they all have very similar descriptions on what's going to happen. They have different stories, different like images to get like to get the point across, but they all have the same energy about it. And especially what's happening in Israel and Palestine right now, like that's one of the final pieces of
Yeah.
what's going to happen right before the quote unquote end of days. So I'm hoping heaven on earth happens soon because
Yeah, you guys.
We gotta fight
Trump
for
is the
community.
Messiah. Trump is Jesus reborn. He's coming back. Listen. We had to unfollow old people from high school that we were just acquaintance with. We did not know these people, but they started coming up on our feed more and more, and we started noticing that they were harder core, like they're progressively gotten to hardcore Trumpers, right? But the final straw was when they dressed their children up in Trump costumes. I was like, wow, that's a lot.
wow.
But but oh my gosh, it's like that Christianity, how the religion has like it's wild to me to see a Christian go like, oh yeah, God did this. This is our guy. This is our guy. This is our guy. This Trump guy. Yeah. We preach about morality and about, be kind to your neighbor, but this
Yeah.
is the dude.
Yeah. He's probably the one with all the heads that they were actually talking about in all the stories. The evil one, but
The Antichrist. Like, well,
The Antichrist. Yeah, to say that part, the Antichrist.
the like when we did the cancel, when I posted our cancel Snoop episode, and we were like, because then the description is obvious why, because he performed at the inauguration. Like, we unclaim you, that is not cool, right?
Right. And especially after he
Somebody
went on a rampage of like
about,
talking
yeah,
shit
like
about, yeah.
he was completely opposite just a few years ago, before he pardoned this dude from death row. uh Anyways, somebody commented about, like, hey, I thought this was about pot, not about politics. And we've always kept it neutral on the show. We never talked about politics. We've
We
always talked
try.
about,
We try. We
yeah,
try.
but this isn't about politics. It's about fascism. This is about crazy, like, life changing, like, things happening are not okay. It's not just politics.
yeah, it's
People's
anti-American.
rights are being taken. Exactly, it's anti-American. It's not. But I don't understand how this is making America great at all. But so, like, it's not politics. We
I
can't
missed
not
that
say
comment.
that we don't, what's happening, what we see happening is
Yeah, and but
okay.
on top of that, we're not out here to try to meet anybody's standards of what they want. Like this is our podcast, and
It's
we talk
our
about
platform. We
whatever we
have to
want.
say it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we agree on things and we share our thoughts, hey, people are not going to agree with us, and that's fine. But right, you can either keep watching or you can go pick another podcast to listen to honestly, because at the end of the day, we don't want people who don't really like us to be listening to us. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you like us, it's because we are who we are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like when you say your opinion unapologetically, that's when you find your tribe.
100%.
You do. It's hard though too because, like, yeah, you want to appeal to a broad audience, but at the same time, like, you also don't want to do that by creating a false image of who you are. Because then what? Then
Right.
you're playing this persona you're not really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that gives more leeway for you to be canceled in the future because you've played all the teams and then you
Right.
actually show what you really think maybe one day and then you get canceled by a whole group of people that loved you up until that point.
Right.
So
Which I mean, cancel. That's a really broad word. It's not really
I know.
canceling.
I
Isn't
know
a
you
real
hated the
thing
name that
anymore.
we put on that episode.
I mean, whatever it got
It was
attention,
just like,
right?
hey, it gets the person's attention that why are we canceling Snoop? What happened here?
yeah.
Yeah. Offer a DJ set. What a sellout.
Yeah.
You
He
rapped a little too,
probably
but
needed the money or something.
But it's money, yo. It always goes back to money. He's probably like, oh, what? And then he's like busting everybody's chops, like making fun of
I
everybody
don't
for
know.
like,
Is it money? Is it dirt? Is it I don't know. Do they have something on him? I don't know. Like, does he
Probably.
really need that much money? Because he's quite the entrepreneur.
Yeah, where's P. Diddy?
Apparently in the same prison as Luigi.
Luigi!
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the same. And they have, like, I think their counsels are married, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Diddy's lawyer and his lawyer are, like, married,
Mm-hmm.
You know,
which is pretty
Whatever.
crazy. And I
it's a
heard that
small
Diddy was,
world.
like, pissed because Luigi was getting better treatment or some shit like that, or
Yeah.
everybody was like,
Oh,
Yeah, like
whatever.
Luigi was more famous than him in prison, and people liked him more and wanted to.
Yeah, well, no, of course.
because he's a hero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We
Versus,
all love Luigi.
yeah. I honestly, I've been looking into like a little bit of conspiracies on
I
this.
don't think he's the guy that did it.
yeah, I don't think
No,
he's
I
the
think
guy
it's
that
his
did it.
brother. If you look at like family pictures, like Christmas pictures and stuff of him next to his brother, it's really his brother that looks like
I
the
haven't
guy.
seen pictures of his brother. I need to see this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, me neither.
I
But
think it's
I don't
I've
think
always
it's
thought
him.
that if this happened, like maybe it was multiple people involved and they all
mhm,
wanted to look very similar, so you never knew who really actually did it. That was
mhm.
kind of smart, And I don't think he did it. I don't think he's the guy that did it.
I
Mm-mm.
don't think he's the guy that did it either. I don't even know. I
I
don't
don't
know
even
about his brother, but I
Yeah.
know that they needed to frame someone and make an example out of someone, and this
exactly.
guy, he fit the description.
He fit the bill.
But then
Mhm.
it's like, which is exactly
Somebody
what we were
just
saying.
called it and they're like, he looks the type. Yeah, he looks like him. Let's to plant the evidence, like the
Yeah,
stuff that he
but
had on him. Did he
right,
really
but
have
that
that stuff on him?
exactly,
You never know.
and how defeating is it to see someone who's like, yeah, down with the corporation, down with the system, and then this guy is eating at McDonald's, like
Like, why
McDonald's
would
isn't
he
an
be
evil
eating
one of the
it?
evil corporations that he should be like,
Boycotting. We're all currently
boycotting.
boycotting.
Right?
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
backpack that he had on him that had all his manifesto in it and the weapon.
Like,
What?
that's not very smart. Why would you keep that on you?
But
Right.
didn't they find his backpack in Central Park with the Monopoly money?
Right.
Is
Half
it
the
supposed to be a
backpack.
different backpack? Yeah. Did he switch backpacks?
Yeah.
Right. And that's the whole
And
thing.
he just
So
like,
many
oh,
days
I'm gonna
after.
switch backpacks to be safe, but I'm gonna keep all the
Yeah.
evidence and move it
Right.
over to the
Like,
new
he's like,
backpack, not
you
get
know
rid of
what?
it. Like that makes no sense.
Jesse's like, you know what? I'm just gonna take the essentials in the new bag. I'm gonna take my gun, my manifesto, any evidence from the like really these are his chopstick.
But you don't write a manifesto unless you know you're going to get caught and you want to get caught.
That's the other
So, like, but there was so much evidence that doesn't add up that I think that he's like the fall guy because they knew that they were going to be able to afford that good lawyer. And they're like, we're going to get out of this, but we're going to make a point. I think his brother's in on it. I think they made a whole thing together.
Well, we
thing.
gotta
Yeah, I
start
think they were.
investigating and looking at these photos.
Yeah.
Well, I hope whoever did it. gets
Yeah,
rid
get
of it.
like we just let it go.
I just
Yeah.
feel like it needs to be a message, and I people
Yeah.
are like, oh, that's so evil. Whatever, they're evil. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and I laugh every time I see like somebody comment like, who's the CEO when a new company announces something awful that they're doing.
Yeah.
Hey man.
It's
Yeah, they need to watch their back.
yeah.
Now they
Yeah.
know.
No, I mean they don't need to watch their back. They need to do good by the people. Or else they'll have to watch their back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whatever.
Exactly.
You know what? Good. They need to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he made an example out of them too.
I mean, they all have such horrible practices. I was actually just talking to somebody the other day about how, like, I mean, Trader Joe's and Aldi, they have their CEOs too. They hoard wealth, but they are owned by like brothers. Like it's the same family that owns Trader Joe's and Aldi. And they're the only people, or that's the only grocery stores that I ever saw having their food in food pantries. I used to like volunteer at food pantries, not because I'm a good person. It was like court ordered, but I had to be in it. But there were like only Aldi and Trader Joe's. And I was wondering, like, why not Mariano's? Why not, Jewel, or, whatever they have. They have different grocery stores everywhere else. And I heard it's because they can't. The CEOs won't let them.
They rather throw it away.
Yeah, they throw it away. And then I know a couple people that work at grocery stores, and they say that they literally lock the dumpsters with padlocks so no one can get the food.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It's crazy.
It's so
Just like
silly.
retail merchandise that gets thrown out and they gotta like destroy it, like so they can't
You
just.
know what though? I hate to break it to you, Sarah. I love Trader Joe's and Aldi's, and I don't know about Aldi's, but Trader Joe's is notorious for anti-union. And when I heard that, that kind of broke my heart because I was like, I
Really?
really like Trader Joe's, but they're like, yeah, they're anti-union.
Interesting.
Wah wah. Yeah,
Yeah.
which sucks because ultimately, at the end of the day, we need more unions because obviously these corporations have more control now than they've ever had, and
Hmm.
it's at the exploitation of us as a people working for them, and that's why they need to get the control back into the hands of the people. Anytime I hear about organization and union people getting together to, it's a big risk that they be taking, but like sometimes you have to stand up against the person who's exploiting you and be ready to just, lose everything because uh, at the expense of continuously being exploited, I mean, they're gonna be, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to,
We just have like, it's so rare to find a moment of like peace and not have to be like, oh,
I know,
they
bombarded with information, right?
yeah, they keep us like in a rat race so that we kind of are pacified whenever we get some semblance of peace, and then we want to maintain that peace, so we don't want to like go against them
Right,
or
so we get complacent, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Through conversations and meeting more people, we get to talk about these things and again get together in community, whatever for whatever the cause is,
Yeah.
union busting or smoking weed. No, 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 union building, not union busting, union building
Yeah, I'm like
or
union
or
busting.
union building or smoking weed.
Yeah. Is it legal in Miami?
It's
It's
medically. They
medical.
they
Okay.
try to they try to pass it recreational this past
But okay, so in the state of
round.
Florida, for us to be able to pass an amendment, it has to have a supermajority and get 60%.
Mm,
So it like that and abortion rights, like protections, barely, barely missed passing. By just,
mm.
Yeah, we lost those.
yep.
Wow. Yeah, Chicago's extremely liberal.
Yeah, I know. It's a
There's
good
a
city.
there's a dispensary like a couple blocks from me.
Well, there's definitely weed all over Florida now, but it's just
Yeah,
medical. It's just medical. Yeah, you got to be a card patient. And you
that's
got to
great.
have like a qualifying condition, go to a doctor, pay all this stuff,
Wow.
you know.
Well, it was good. It was really nice talking to you. We really appreciate you taking the time. That was lots of fun, Jay. Did you have a good time speaking
I
to
did.
Sarah?
So much fun. I was very excited to have her on the show. I was fangirling a little bit because I have been following her for a while. And like I said in the show, like I love her content. It's very unique and fun way to consume news and topics and information, and some of it's far out there
Yeah,
conspiracies and
the
stuff, but that's
aliens.
fun. That's also
Right.
fun and quite plausible.
Yeah, I love a good alien story. And also, I was getting, X-File vibes too. She gives me
For real.
X-File vibes.
Yeah.
But hey, if you want to catch all of the wonderful content we were talking about, you can catch her, Sarah Holcomb, on Instagram as Pitch Dark Paradise. On TikTok, she's at Mad Hatter News. And then on YouTube, she's also at Mad Hatter News. I love talking to her, and her content is fantastic. Please check it out. And hey, thanks for watching and listening to ours. Hey, if you're not on YouTube, what are you waiting for? Please follow us
Yeah.
on
You
YouTube.
could have watched that whole show.
You could have watched the whole show. And select the alarm too. So that way you get
A
notified every
little
time we go
notification.
live or every time we have a new episode. We have a live stream coming up soon, so you definitely want to check that out.
And tune in next week for a regular podcast episode.
All right. Thanks for hanging out. See you later. Bye.
Bye.